Hello, this is Ado Ray from Bricks Maven. Welcome to this video where we're going to actually look at how to use the advanced themer framework. Now, most of you might have seen videos of the WP Easy where he actually shows you how to use the advanced themer framework. And the way that he builds the blocks and the sections, the components, etc., obviously uses a lot of custom CSS, the AT color set, etc. Obviously over here we also use the variables, custom CSS, etc. But the way I've seen how the AT color set works is not really the workflow that I normally use. I just basically use the variables and that way make things scalable, manageable, etc. But in this video, actually, I just wanted to show you how to actually apply these variables to your elements using the right variables. So, okay, like simple things. Actually, this is actually basic, a little bit intermediate. You know, I don't think it's going to be too advanced. I'm planning to make a second video where I actually I'll be using like the container variables to do some calculations, etc. But we'll get into that in the second video. I'm just going to actually just a video just to show you how do you actually use the variables that we have to our disposal. So the border colors, the spacing, the gaps, where do you actually put them? Most of you might already know how to use them, but these are for those that might use them incorrectly. And obviously, there's a lot to say about it. I'm just going to make a simple section with an intersection, 3 cards, and we'll just add variables where they belong. So this is actually a basic video. But anyways, enough talk. Let's dive in. So first thing we want to do is just let us set up our structure. So we need obviously a section which goes to the container. We need a block. This would be the inner. No, this would be the intro section. And the intro section has a heading and a accent heading, and just I'll call this the intro text. And then we just click on the container. We need another block, which will be the grid URL. This will be our container for our cards. And another block, which would be the card itself. And then we need a card contains a heading, a text, a button, and I'll also add an image to it. Sorry. We add an image right there. Just add a placeholder. Medium's okay. Let's make it large. Okay, so this would be our card heading. I'm just going to now just add the correct text. So this should be in H3. Paragraph tag has already been added. You should get the figure tag. A button should just be a call to action. This could also just be a link, but let's do it this way. And I would like the size to be a little bit smaller if possible. Small. Here we go. And let's go to our heading. This is a intro heading, which has the correct tag. It's H2. And this is an accent heading, which just give you the span tag. And okay, so this is our section. I'll just call this a feature. So this could be like a feature section. And now the next step is to add the classes. So I'm going to use the class converter to do that. And I'm going to do this in a way that I'm not just going to just add this, just create these classes the way that it is. Oh wait, I've seen a typo here. It's accent heading, card heading, basic text. Okay, everything is. Let me just call this text. Just make sure that all the names are correct. Okay, so I have to normally when you're working like creating classes, because obviously we're using the BEM naming methodology. So here, what you want to do is think like, okay, the cards itself is going to be a component, right? So the structure of the BEM, so that means the card itself is a block, right? So if I did it like this, it would not make sense. And also the intersection would also act like a component because I'm going to use this on multiple places on the website. So this structure is not going to work. So feature is good. Feature sorry, should be not double underscore, but just the dash and then intro. So I'm just going to take this all off. And you can see here it's already giving a light like this should be wrong. I would have to name this differently, like card heading or something, but I still want this to stay heading. So I'm just turning this off and I'm just going to click, okay, copy ID. Yes, these styles, erase them, sync, okay, done. Okay, so I have to, what's going on here? Why did it turn gray? Okay, I don't know what happened, but let me continue. I'll come to the intro and I'll say class converter again, and here I'll add feature dash intro because this is a component, so it's going to be feature intro heading exit heading. So this should be the correct way of doing this because this is also a component. I'm going to use this on multiple places on the website. So I would call this, give this even a different name. We could even say just take away feature, this just intro, because intro we're going to use this multiple times, or it could be intro centered, whatever we want, but in this case this is intro. So create this class, I go to my grid and this should also be named because this is my feature grid. This is an unordered list, by the way. So all this are off. Yes. And then my card is last. So this is my feature card. So we have a feature card heading, feature card text. Oh my goodness, text, image, and then the button. Okay, so now we have them all. Everything is set the way that I want it, because I might decide to use this feature card in another section and it's a component, so it must be named this way. So there's a block too. Okay, so now that we've done this, let us just go in and style. So this should be centered. Also add the type of centered to make sure that everything stays in the middle. The heading, accent heading, will get an order of -1 because I want it to sit on the top. Obviously the browser will read it, the heading, the H2 heading will be read first. This is just an order, the way I'm placing it. And let us go to our grid. I'm going to give this set it to display grid. And here's where we can start adding our first variable. So as gap, if we click on the right mouse or the V, you can set this in your theme settings. You can choose if you want to only use the V icon or the right mouse. I set it to both. Here we add the grid gap variable. You can also choose the grid gap S or the grid gap L. These are called contextual variables. Why? Because if you see here, it says AT grid gap, and you can see, if I hover over it, you see at space dash S. So it's actually using the space S variable. But this is contextual because this is a grid gap. It's contextual to your gaps. So if all your grids or your website use the grid gap variable, you can easily make changes. Because if you're using the space S, you could easily use space S here. On another grid, you use space M, and you just be littering your website with different variables Whereas having a contextual variable, it makes it easier to make these changes in one place. Okay, so we want a 3-column grid. So we choose the AT grid 3. So this is also applied correctly. And now we have our 3 columns. So let's move on to the card. Let's style it real quick. If you've noticed, the AT theme styles adds the variables for your column gap and your row gap, which can be seen here. So if we go to the, I think it's block, you can see that the variables are added here automatically. That's why your elements are spaced out already. You actually do not need to do anything. But if this is not the case, if this is something that you didn't turn on for whatever case, you can always just add the content gap here, which is also a contextual variable. Same rules apply like the grid gap variable. So we have it here. Let us go to our layout where we have our padding. Here we can add our space variables. If you've noticed, they have different space variables and they also have section spacing variables. So we have our section padding block. These are added to your section. We have our AT gutter. So this is the AT gutter is for your left or you would call it your inline padding, the left and right, and the section padding block is for your top and your bottom. But this is not a section, so we don't need those. So we go for our space M, and then I make sure I just link it on all sides so we have some space around it. We can move on to the background. I want it to be white, so I choose the white variable. I want to add a border to it. Just add a 1-pixel border. Link it to all sides. Use the solid and pick there's a AT border variable. I'll first have to, if you can choose to right mouse click on the color, which will open up the AT textual menu, and then just search for border. And we need to search for the border color, which is this one. So there's a border around it. And as for the radius, also right mouse click and we can choose. So as you can see, I'm applying the correct variables where they belong. Let's go to our box shadow, which you can choose to fill out these values, or you can just add the variable to your raw. Right mouse click, and here we have our shadows. We have Excel. We have to Excel. Obviously, you could also choose to add this on your hover state, which can be done through custom CSS or through the bricks hover menu here. We're just doing it this way. So as you can see, I'm slowly styling up my card. I want my image to sit on top. So I'll also give this an order of -1. And I'll just make sure that the width is 100%. And I will give it a aspect ratio of see 4:3. It's good. And make sure that the object fit is set to cover so that my images will always look nice. So let me just save real quick. And obviously we have our buttons, and you can just, if you want to change the color of your buttons, you can just switch through the primary, secondary, light. All these have been set in your theme styles, muted, etc., etc. Just leave it at primary for now. So that's pretty good. As you can see, we've done this by just adding the right variables at the right spot. I will then duplicate this and duplicate it one more time. So we have 3 cards. So let's just go down in the breakpoints. When it lands on the mobile landscape, I want the grid UL to be 1. And now I notice something. It might be setting here. This set to 1, so As you can see, the builder, for some weird reason, it's only on this new install. I just installed this like yesterday or something. I'm getting this weird, I think it's a bug thing. I don't know what's going on. It's not applying the variable. But if I'm correct, if I go on the front end, let's check it out. Should work. See, it works. So I might be overlooking something that I'm not seeing right now. But anyways, just know that it works. The dev server where I have all the blocks, it works perfectly. So something's not going well. Let me see, 700 and 767, 767. So if it goes to 66, it breaks. We're supposed to work at 66. That is weird. Something is not right. Anyways, let me continue. So it's all responsive now. Everything works as it should. Let us add a background color. I'm going to add the neutral L5 so it's light. And there's one more thing I want to add, which is a toggle for dark mode. But I just want to, by doing this, I've used a few variables to build this card as fast as I could, obviously. And you can see how I applied them to the correct places, so that if you ever need to make changes in your variable manager, like your spacing, where is it, your spacing, the amount of spaces, it will all apply correctly to your cards because you've used them on the right spot. Like for example, our border color is, let me go to the border color to show you something real quick. Let me just increase this to like 10 pixels so that you can see our border. There it is. So I'll just go to all and then border color. Wait, just color. So it's set to a transparency black color, right? So if I turn this and I just, oh, it doesn't give me, wait, I think I need to change this for it to give me suggestions. So let's say it's primary. Oh, there it is. So primary, if I save this, sorry, what am I doing? Save to database. Look, the changes are automatically applied. But this border color is not pretty, so let's go to a neutral color and maybe a, you know what, let's just go to the, no, just neutral. I think I'll do a dark one just to check it out, see how that looks, and then just put this back to 1. I don't, it's just way too dark. Wait, let's do it as 5. Maybe I should have gone for a lighter color. One more time. I change it. No, just put it at, just give it a light color. L. Oh wait, 4 or 3. Because the background is already L5, so we'll not see it. Okay, let's go. Let's try 4. 4 will look good. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Okay. So now, I want to keep this real simple. The next thing I want to show you guys is I want to add a light and dark toggle, a dark mode, dark and light toggle to this section, so that we can test the dark and light mode. Obviously, I can switch it on and off here. You can also do it with your color manager here. You can turn this off just to see how the colors look, obviously. But AT also comes with a dark mode toggle button. Wait, I don't want to see that. I can't even read because some are like legacy, so I'm just trying to see which one is correct. Well, I can't see it this way now, can I? Wait, oh, there we go. Legacy nestable. Okay, this will take clicking this one. Actually, don't want this way. I want a button, yeah. So I'm doing this away. And I'm gonna just drag this all the way. This does not look good. Oh, one more, I forgot one more variable. Your container, as you can see, there's also a row gap here, right? So let's see what is set to a container, which is a right. Okay, so mostly I like on a container, I like the gap to have a container gap, so there's more space, because the content gap is not, I don't find it big enough. So there we go. I didn't really see anything change, or is it just me? Okay, I guess I would believe it. Let me just check something real quick. Calc. I'm going to use the calc function here. Say var then at container gap. I'm going to do this times 2 just to check. Okay, applied. Okay, cool. Okay, let me just center this, and then we just go to the front to do some tests. So here we go. Looks very nice. So one more thing I want to show you about the light and dark mode. What if you don't want your cards to turn dark? So this is light mode, and you want your cards on dark mode. So once you go dark mode, you want your cards to stay light. What can you do to prevent that? So you can do the following. You can add a class, right, on the card, or you can not use the AT white color. You can use a normal white color, right? You can create a class like background white or something and add your own like hex color to it. You can do that. And then if you switch to dark mode, it stays white. Or you can also add a class, which is a bricks class. I just recently saw this today in the group, so I thought, hey, this was a good addition that I could add in this tutorial. So it's BRXC. As you can see, you have 4 of them. You have the dark colors, you have the light colors, you have the reverse colors, and you have the initial colors. The dark colors means actually your background to stay always, or whatever element you put it on, it will always be dark. This will always be light regardless. And this will actually reverse the colors. So if it's light, it will reverse the dark. If it's dark, it will reverse the light. And initial is to actually reverse it back to the original or the initial color state. So let's say in this case, like I said, this has to stay light, right? So we add this class to it. But maybe it's smarter to add it to, let me see if I add it to the grid, which is the parent. So else I have to add it on all the classes. So let's say light. Let me see it doesn't change. What you see, it affects the button though. But as you can see, the card, everything stays the same. So if you have sections on your website or on a blog or on or whatever you might have, you can use this classes to actually stay unaffected. So if you're changing light mode, dark mode, it doesn't affect it, which is pretty cool. So if I was to say, if I add a reverse color here, oh, by the way, this only works on the front end. So it doesn't work in the builder. You can only see it on the front end. So you see it's reversed. So this was white before, and this was light mode. It has reversed it. I think I was thinking for a use case for the reverse and the initial colors, but I then thought, okay, maybe you might be doing like, maybe it's a condition thing where a certain state, if you the certain state, this class will be like added to your element. I could not think of a use case for it, but I think it will have to do with you would have to use like JavaScript to like inject it into the element. Like maybe somebody does a certain action, and then you want maybe background to change color or whatever to reverse back to the I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So that is what I wanted to show you guys. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. This is the first video I'm making. So as you guys know, I just recently released the advanced themer framework for the alpha template by Brixmaven. And this is the kind of workflow that I'm actually using to create these blocks. If we need extra stuff, like if we need like, I'm going to come back to this tutorial, and I'm going to like show you how we can use custom CSS to add special, like you can add special effects, obviously still using the variables, because we have like positioning variables, filters. Let me just see if I can. Okay, wait, let me take away the search. Yeah, so like the distance, stuff like this, we can add it to our CSS, right? The box shadows. And I'm also gonna make another video where I'm actually using the 80 site box max width to like calculate like the background, like an image, right? To stretch it all the way to the side of the screen, stuff like that. You can do some really cool stuff with these variables. Yeah, so I hope this video was educational. It's quite basic, obviously, but to give you a good sense to like get started with the advanced themer framework, and yeah, just to get you a little bit more confident using the advanced themer framework. I had a lot of fun building the blocks, converting stuff, and I just want to share you guys with you that this is also a possible workflow. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like, let me know how you are working with the advanced themer framework. I would love to hear it. Those that purchased the block library, thank you very much. And I also love to hear from you guys how you're using it and what you think about it. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.